today we have lovely Debra and beautiful April, and I'm Akushi Angel. And we have an amazing, exciting topic today, the body as a nature spirit. And I've been thinking about this topic for some time. I've been sharing with Debra and April earlier on, and it's, you know, when I talk about this, I almost want to just stop for a moment and just feel the energy, the nature, the spirit, and be receptive to all of this energy that runs through us, within us, outwards, connecting with all that is. And that's how I see the body as a nature spirit. I see it as we're all so connected. We're connected to one source, oneness. And how do I qualify that statement? I qualify that statement by my experience of going out into nature, being part of nature, going out into nature with my bare feet and standing on the ground. I stand in my lawn, on the grass, and I feel calmness straight away. I feel a spirit within me that isn't just in me, but it is in me, flowing through me into the earth, out of me, and out towards the sky and beyond, and also all around me. And I'm closing my eyes whilst I'm saying this, because I'm connecting into the spirit and the conversations that I have with the spirit and with my body. And as I talk about this, I also talk about my body and how it responds to spirit and to energy. I mean, is spirit energy? Is energy spirit? I'm sure, you know, Debra and April will share their thoughts and their feelings and their experiences on this. My experience is that I am influenced by my environment. I am influenced by the food that I eat. I'm influenced by words that are said to me. And this seems to affect how I feel and my mood. And it either inspires me in spirit or it pushes me down. It decreases my energy. And there we have it. Energy. What is energy? And there's been a lot of study, and I've studied and researched it myself through working with rainbow therapy and the angel ministry and my own therapies. And one of the things that is so inspiring and beautiful is if you take some fruit, like a lemon or an apple or a cucumber, and you slice it, you'll see in the middle is the flower of life. And the flower of life is the blueprint for everything. So that suggests to me we're all connected. So if I eat something that is natural, my body speaks to me. It feels happy. Yeah, it feels energized. If I eat something that's processed, and I do, you know, I like to, my body feels heavier. And sometimes that's good for me. That's necessary. Possibly. So I could talk forever about the body as a nature spirit. I also feel, you know, if you look at astrology, and I like astrology. I'm a lion. I'm a Leo. You know, am I a typical Leo? I don't know. I've got the big hair. I'm quite flamboyant, you know, but I'm also a Virgo. So am I analytical? Yeah, I'm quite analytical. I'm a Scorpio. I'm deep. And each of these signs, I'm a Scorpio moon. I'm a Virgo rising, and I'm a Leo. You know, so you all know a lot about me now. You know, and I look at the animals that are connected with the signs, and that's interesting too. You know, am I like a cat? You know, or the Chinese? Am I like an ox? You know, hardworking. So how connected are we? I just find the whole thing, the experience. The older I get, the more I work with it. The more I work with energy, the more I see that my body responds well to natural, esoteric, energetic, spiritual healing than it does to medical, prescribed drugs and, and compartmentalized prescription and diagnosis rather than a holistic whole view. And so if we're looking at holistic, we're connected to all that is. And then, spirit, we can go further into that, looking at our ancestors and how that affects us. And I was also looking at light language because I studied, a little bit of light language, and apparently it's one of my natural gifts. It just comes through me. And you look at light language and how color and sacred geometry have a conversation with bodies, with the animals, with nature, with the building blocks of everything, of the universe, astrology and planets. And so it's fascinating. It's fascinating that there is a language, an energy, a spirit that feels that is connected and speaking to us in a positive way, and leading us all into a fulfilled, sustainable, joyful sense of being, a loving community. And when we move outside of that or away from that, and we do, because we're on a journey, we're learning, we're experiencing, we're depending on what our makeup is and what the cones, the codes, and the vibrations that we come in with. Depending on all of that, we go for different things to learn lessons in that. I can see now I am rambling on. So what I'm going to do is say thank you for listening to me and my excitement about this subject. And if either of you two beautiful angels want to jump in and share your experiences, please do.
I will.
Hi.
And I am, because I'm all wrapped up from what you had to say, from your sharing, from your voice, from your throat, from your body, your mind and soul, what you bring into being through your spirit body connection. I had this sense at some point of what initially came to mind to me when we talked about body as a nature spirit, and that was that I was this being of light, zip, and I could see myself like a fairy or like a and what I would imagine as a nature spirit, but lit up, full of light. And where something hurts, I could see myself just shaking it. If my butt hurts, I just shake my butt and just out it goes and back to whole. Or where something's too full, I can just knit it back together. Or where it needs to release, I can release it. So that's kind of out there, fairy talk. On the other hand, what happens to us in our sense of self, as in our connection to nature, is probably not terribly far off. The fact that I believe it as fact that we are malleable beings of light, and that translates into physical form. But when those two are together, when we're connected to nature, when we're connected to ourselves as beings of light, when we're connected to, we're just clear. We just know something stops, and we are in the spot of miraculous healing. We're in a spot or in a place of wholeness, that anything is possible. And so I thank you, Akushi, for talking through those things and bringing your spirit, because it just, whether or not you know it, it invited those moments for me to experience that in my body. And I did shake off something I needed to, just in that thought and that little precious moment of recognizing myself as what I can be, at least in my mind, when I allow myself to perceive it. The rest I don't know. The rest I can't say for sure, but that's my experience.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, Debra. You know what it makes me think of is a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to spend time in the sequoias, the which I go up there as often as I can. It's only, 3.5 hours from me. And there's a place up there called the Trail of 100 Giants, the giant sequoia trees. And my friend and I went and spent, and I've been doing this for years, and it's, probably a 45-minute enjoy, leave. We spent 4 hours in the forest, and it was beautiful. I mean, and you're talking trees that are bigger than cars, in diameter, and just tall. And the energy in that forest is, it's even hard to describe. And, I took my shoes off and just walked, as, as comfortably as possible, because you're in the forest with those shoes and there's all kinds of stuff on the ground. But I didn't care because it just grounded me. So, and then I can't believe I'm going to sound like a, I don't know, nature crazy person, but just putting my hand on the tree and feeling the energy of the tree in the forest, and just
Not crazy at all.
just, 4 hours, it just wasn't enough. We didn't want to leave. And, there are ley lines in that forest also. But there's just a lot of power, nature, natural, divine power in nature. And, as, you both, expressed that we are connected. And when we connect to that power of nature, we use the word again, it's just very powerful and grounding. And last weekend, I was at this place that I often go to called Sunburst Sanctuary, just north of Santa Barbara. And it's 4,000 acres of just pure, beautiful landscape. And I went out in the morning, and the ground was cool, and they had this beautiful grass. And I took my shoes off and just put my feet on that grass. And you know how often we, visualize the column of light coming down and through us? It was like the energy coming up from the ground, and it came up from my feet through my whole body. And it was just so beautifully grounding. It just changes your whole energy in your body if you're, because there's so many energies coming in right now, or have a tendency to be all over the place. And it's important right now to go out into nature and ground and feel the difference in your whole vibration of your entire light body. And I just can't stress enough how beautiful and how important it is. And also, not only from the ground, but into the sun. And if you see, I know it's, it can be a little challenging for anyone, depending on where you are, on the planet. But if you can just go out into nature, outside as you sit, let the sun beam in and on you, it's a different type of energetic.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm just going to quickly come in there, because that's a great place to leave the chat. We've got so much we can say. I think we could continue this one next week, or somehow make the sessions a bit longer. But just to cap on those lovely sharings, is that it was wonderful to hear Debra talking about, when you do connect, when you connect into the nature spirit, when you connect into outside, you become clear, and this is the platform for miracles to enter. So, and to connect to light. And the wonderful tip here from April is, it's so easy, because at the moment there is a lot of chaotic energy. There's a lot happening in the world and in the planets, and people are having to look and really clear out and step into their true connection, their true being. And one of the tip that we have from April is a really quick way to do that is just go outside, connect with the earth. Take your shoes off, take your socks off. Do you know, I've done it in the winter, and it takes moments for the heat of the earth to heat up your feet. I'm not recommending everybody goes out there in the winter and do it, but, go out there, get your feet on the ground, put your face to the sun and feel the energy, and that will connect you and anchor you and ground you very, very quickly. And this is a great platform for miracles, for healing the body. And I just want to, it's interesting how, again, we must have been talking to each other in the spirit body before this show. And I'm hoping I can get this in before we get cut off here, because we only have a limited amount of time. But I pulled up from one of my training sessions a quote that was written by Anna Edwards in the Daily Mail. Not that I read the Daily Mail, it's just a beautiful quote. And it's called Magical, and it's about enchanted forest, April. So, the enchanted forest with the phosphorescent Thank you. Can you say that word again?
Phosphorescent.
Phosphorescent blobs and mesmerizing patterns. Thousands of dancing fireflies create a magical woodland glow. The luminous green lights that glow from the insects help to give the impression of an extract from a fairy tale, which is what you were saying, Debra. And it's from a city in Japan, a forest in a city in Japan. And it's about the green vibration and the heart chakra and how we connect in there. Thank you. I'm dyslexic. I don't mind to admit it. And sometimes when I'm feeling a bit vulnerable in speaking, I don't always bring the word forward. So thank you for that. Always come in and help me. Anyway, showing my human side here.
You know, Akushi, if I could say this, as you were talking about, what came to me is when we're out in nature, if we just bring our awareness to all of the life that is around us when we're in nature. I mean, down to the ants, you know, they're busy. There's that, you know, beautiful life. You know, all of the energy, just even in one blade of grass, that energy. Because we wonder, why is it that we can just go put our feet in grass and we're grounded and we feel all this energy? Because it is energy. You know, when I walk out to my garden every morning, I'm just like, good morning, because I know there are things there that I can't see in life. And, you know, I kiss my roses because they're so beautiful and they give me such pleasure. And if we could, you know, when we continue to raise ourselves to a higher consciousness and we walk out into our garden, we will see things that we can't see, things of life. There's just so much life, energy in nature that, you know, I think we have a tendency sometimes as humans just see the big things, see the big tree, you know, see the big flower. But if you break it down to these energetic particles, it just seems to be, it's just beautiful. It just indulge in that energy of life.
Absolutely. And yes, simple and complicated at the same time. I think we have a couple of minutes. Do you want to say anything else, Debra, before we go?
Just realizing that the what came to my mind, which is not very well formed, but as April, as you're talking, you know, the tiny and the majestic, and how when you notice something tiny in nature, you really do. It's like a space journey. You just like zoom into this massive. It may be a tiny thing, a tiny blade of grass, but it can connect you to what feels to the big, to the huge, massive, infinite. You know, it's because it's life. I don't know because why. It's nature. Maybe it's all of nature.
It is. And yes.
You know,
she's waxing out there. Sorry.
Another thing I think that we cannot ignore is the intelligence of our body. You know, I find myself often talking to, in meditation, sometimes when I'm in gratitude about my body, I kiss my feet. Mm-hmm. My feet provide so much mobility and adventure, you know, for all of us every day. But keeping in mind the intelligence of our body.